Fans heartbroken. Why has Jimin stopped appearing beside Jungkook? The silence was sudden, the distance unmistakable, and the change impossible to ignore. Fans around the world are left asking one haunting question. Why has Jimin, once so often seen standing shoulder to shoulder with Jungkook, stopped appearing beside him? For years their bond seemed unshakable, their presence on stage and in public events a source of comfort and excitement for millions. But today that familiar sight has vanished, leaving behind whispers, speculation, and heartbreak. Is this absence a mere coincidence, or is there something deeper that fans are not being told? At the heart of the discussion lies a striking reality. The very images that once defined unity are now replaced by scenes of separation. Once inseparable, Jimin and Jungkook now appear apart, as if an invisible barrier has grown between them. For a fandom that has followed every step, every look, and every gesture, this sudden shift feels like a wound. The emotional connection that fans built through years of shared moments is now tested, raising questions no one seems ready to answer. Is this distance the result of personal choice, professional circumstances, or something more unsettling? Observers have noted that what was once casual togetherness now feels carefully avoided. Photos, videos, and fan accounts reveal subtle patterns, moments when they might have been side by side, yet somehow are not. This absence is not loud, but it is powerful. It is a silence that screams, a distance that cuts through the hearts of those who believed in the unshakable closeness between Jimin and Jungkook. Fans are left to connect the dots, to interpret the shadows, and to wonder whether this silence is temporary or permanent. What makes the situation even more striking is how quickly the change unfolded. Not long ago, fans could easily point to countless moments of warmth and camaraderie. Shared laughter, casual touches, and a natural closeness that required no explanation. But now those moments feel like distant memories. The transformation has been so sharp that it almost feels deliberate, as if a decision was made to pull them apart. But by whom? And for what reason? The heartbreak is real. Social media is flooded with messages of confusion and sorrow. Many fans describe the absence as a loss, as though something precious has been taken away without warning. They replay old clips, rewatch familiar interactions, and hold on tightly to what once was. Yet even in nostalgia, there is a lingering sting, a reminder that the present does not reflect the past. Why has this shift occurred now, at a time when both artists are at such pivotal points in their careers? Why has the bond that once appeared effortless now become invisible? There are those who argue that this is simply the natural course of time. People grow, dynamics change, and professional paths create distance where once there was closeness. But others are not convinced. To them, the sudden absence feels too sharp, too calculated. Could external pressures be influencing the situation? Could management decisions, public scrutiny, or even personal challenges be shaping this sudden distance? Or is it perhaps a choice made by Jimin himself, a quiet withdrawal from the spotlight beside Jungkook that speaks louder than any public statement ever could? Theories continue to spread, each more emotional than the last. Some suggest that the separation is an act of protection, shielding one another from the relentless glare of public attention. Others whisper of tension, conflict, or unspoken disagreements. The truth remains hidden, leaving only fragments and speculation. But whatever the reason, the effect is undeniable. Fans feel abandoned, left out of a narrative that once made them feel so connected. The emotional toll cannot be understated. For fans who have invested years into supporting and cherishing these two figures, the absence is not just about missing a familiar sight. It is about losing a symbol of unity, comfort, and joy. When Jimin no longer appears beside Jungkook, it is not merely two individuals standing apart. It feels like an entire bond unraveling before the eyes of those who once believed in it most. This is why the heartbreak runs so deep, and why the question continues to echo. Why has Jimin stopped appearing beside Jungkook? Perhaps what makes this situation most haunting is the silence from both sides. There are no explanations, no clarifications, no comforting reassurances to ease the pain of fans. In the absence of words, speculation thrives. And in that void, every small detail, every missed glance, every separate appearance, becomes evidence to be dissected and debated. It is a mystery that demands answers, yet the silence only deepens, leaving fans suspended in uncertainty. The truth may be far more complex than fans imagine. It may involve personal growth, career demands, or private struggles that the public may never fully understand. But for the millions who once found comfort in seeing Jimin and Jungkook side by side, the reason matters less than the reality. The reality is this: the absence is here, it is painful, and it has left fans heartbroken. The question that remains is whether this distance is a passing phase or the beginning of something permanent. For now, fans are left to reflect, to question, and to hope. Hope that this silence will be broken, that the bond once visible will resurface, and that the heartbreak will ease. But until then, the distance remains, and the absence speaks louder than any explanation ever could. The world watches, fans wait, and the haunting question lingers in every mind. Why has Jimin stopped appearing beside Jungkook? The silence surrounding this issue has not only fueled speculation, but also created a dangerous echo chamber where emotions overpower rational judgment. The absence of Jimin beside Jungkook has been magnified through countless posts on TikTok, Twitter, YouTube, and other platforms, but one question remains unanswered. Are these narratives truly grounded in fact? Or are they the result of carefully crafted illusions designed to provoke reactions and attract attention? If millions are now heartbroken, should we not ask whether their heartbreak is based on reality or on shadows painted by the media itself? Every image, every frame, and every moment of distance has been dissected as if it were absolute proof of conflict or estrangement. But is the act of not standing side by side enough to justify sweeping conclusions about personal relationships? Could it be that the very stories circulating online are constructed to feed the insatiable hunger for drama? And if so, why are fans so eager to accept them without hesitation? The danger here is not only in what is believed, but in how belief itself is shaped. Are fans truly witnessing reality, or are they consuming a narrative carefully engineered to keep them engaged? The responsibility of discernment lies with each of us. When we encounter claims that Jimin has deliberately chosen not to appear beside Jungkook, we must pause and interrogate the source. Was this reported by a verified channel of communication, or was it amplified by an anonymous account seeking visibility? Was the narrative supported by multiple consistent observations, or did it originate from a single edited clip taken out of context? The proliferation of information in this digital era makes it increasingly difficult to separate truth from fabrication. Do we dare to accept everything we see, or should we confront the uncomfortable possibility that much of what circulates is manipulation? There is also a deeper question at stake. What motivates the continuous reproduction of these stories? Sensationalism thrives on uncertainty. The more fans speculate, the more engagement the story generates. The more engagement it generates, the more valuable it becomes in the marketplace of digital attention. In this cycle, truth often becomes irrelevant, eclipsed by the emotional power of speculation. Should we then not ask, are Jimin and Jungkook truly drifting apart, or are they simply characters in a narrative crafted to maximize clicks, views, and profits? Furthermore, the emotional investment of fans cannot be ignored. The heartbreak they feel is genuine, but is the cause of that heartbreak genuine as well? If the narrative is manufactured, then millions have been drawn into grieving over something that may not even exist. Is this not a form of exploitation, where the vulnerability of a devoted fanbase is weaponized against them? And if so, what responsibility does the audience carry in perpetuating this cycle? Should fans begin to question not only the content itself but their own role in consuming and amplifying it? Let us consider the possibility that nothing unusual has occurred at all. In a professional environment as demanding as the one Jimin and Jungkook inhabit, schedules shift, appearances are structured, and public images are carefully managed. Could the supposed distance simply be a reflection of logistics rather than emotions? Or is the interpretation of this distance merely a projection of fans' fears and desires? If this is true, then the narrative of heartbreak becomes not an account of reality, but a mirror reflecting the expectations and anxieties of those watching. Are we then mourning a loss that never happened? The questions only deepen as we examine the role of social media. On platforms like TikTok and Twitter, brief clips stripped of context are presented as definitive proof. Yet how much can truly be deduced from a 3-second video or a single photograph? Is it not reckless to construct entire stories of estrangement from fragments so incomplete? The danger here lies in the transformation of speculation into perceived fact. a process accelerated by algorithms designed to reward engagement over accuracy. Should we not, therefore, challenge every narrative before accepting it as truth? The power of collective belief cannot be underestimated. When enough fans repeat the claim that Jimin no longer stands beside Jungkook, the statement begins to feel true regardless of evidence. But repetition does not equate to reality. It is precisely at such moments that skepticism must be sharpened, not dulled. Are we willing to let our emotions dictate our perception? Or are we prepared to confront the uncomfortable truth that what we believe may not be what truly is? At the center of this storm is a fundamental dilemma. Do fans truly know these artists, or do they only know the carefully curated fragments presented to the public? If the latter is true, then the heartbreak over Jimin's supposed absence becomes a heartbreak over illusion, not reality. And if that is the case, who should be held accountable for this illusion? The media that perpetuates it, the platforms that amplify it, or the audiences that consume it without scrutiny? The issue extends beyond Jimin and Jungkook. It reflects the broader crisis of truth in the digital era. When every piece of content competes for attention, sensationalism often triumphs over substance. In such an environment, should fans not adopt a posture of vigilance, refusing to accept narratives without verification? Should we not demand evidence before surrendering to heartbreak, proof before succumbing to despair? And if we fail to do so, are we not complicit in the very cycle that exploits our emotions for profit? The challenge now is not only to interpret the absence of Jimin beside Jungkook, but to interpret our own response to it. Why are we so quick to believe? Why do we long for drama even when it wounds us? Why do we trust the very platforms that have repeatedly demonstrated their preference for sensationalism over truth? These are questions that cut deeper than the surface of a single rumor. They force us to confront the nature of our relationship with media itself. As fans continue to debate, speculate, and grieve, one final question must be asked. What if the entire narrative is false? What if Jimin and Jungkook remain close, unchanged, and unshaken, while the public consumes a fabricated drama? If that is the case, then the heartbreak is not only misplaced, it is tragic evidence of how easily truth can be distorted. Should this not compel us to adopt greater caution, to embrace skepticism as a shield against manipulation? In the end, the absence of Jimin beside Jungkook may be real or imagined, deliberate or coincidental. But what is undeniably real is the emotional power this story holds over millions. And that power demands response.